The year is 2025. Donald Trump is back in the White House, and, as predictable as a late-night tweet from the former president himself, America's relationship with Europe is once again on the rocks. The latest saga in this transatlantic drama unfolded on March 13th, during a meeting between Trump and NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg. It was here that the 45th president, never one to shy away from bold pronouncements, decided to revive a previously dormant ambition: buying Greenland. Yes, you read that right, Greenland, the world's largest island currently under the sovereignty of Denmark. Trump, citing vague concerns about international security, declared his confidence in eventually persuading the Danes to part with their icy possession. He seemed to forget that his previous attempt to purchase Greenland in 2019, met with laughter and bewilderment from Danish officials, did not exactly pave the way for a warm reception this time around. Unsurprisingly, Trump's pronouncements were met with a collective eye-roll from European leaders. Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen reiterated her country's stance that Greenland was not for sale, while other European officials politely but firmly suggested that perhaps the United States had more pressing matters to attend to. But the Greenland episode was just the tip of the iceberg, so to speak, in a series of events that have left the transatlantic alliance teetering on the brink. Just one day before his Greenland gaffe, Trump had managed to ruffle feathers on the other side of the Atlantic. During a meeting with Irish Prime Minister Michael Martin, the conversation took a turn for the worse when the topic of trade arose. Trump, never one to miss an opportunity to air his grievances, launched into a tirade against the European Union's trade policies. He railed against what he perceived as an unfair trade imbalance, particularly in the automotive sector. He also took aim at the EU's ongoing tax dispute with Apple, accusing the bloc of unfairly targeting American tech giants. The irony of a man who built his empire on questionable business practices and tax avoidance schemes lecturing anyone on fairness seemed to be lost on Trump. The Irish Prime Minister, for his part, listened patiently to Trump's diatribe. When it was his turn to speak, Martin calmly pointed out that the EU was one of America's closest trading partners and that both sides benefited from a strong economic relationship. He also defended the bloc's right to set its own tax laws, suggesting that perhaps American companies operating in Europe should be subject to the same rules as everyone else. As if Trump's antics weren't enough to contend with, Europe decided to throw another wrench into the works. This time the target was not the US government directly, but one of its most high-profile companies, Tesla. The electric car manufacturer, led by the ever-controversial Elon Musk, has long been a darling of the tech world and a poster child for the green energy revolution. But in recent years, Tesla's star has begun to fade, particularly in Europe. The latest blow came from Denmark, where two of the country's largest pension funds, Akademiker Pension and Pension Danmark, announced their decision to blacklist Tesla from their investment portfolios. The reason? Concerns over Tesla's labor practices, Musk's erratic behavior, and the company's anti-union stance. Pension Danmark's decision was particularly significant as it followed a long-running dispute between Tesla and labor unions in Sweden. In 2023, the company refused to sign a collective bargaining agreement with Swedish unions, leading to protests and calls for a boycott. The Danish pension fund cited this refusal as a key factor in their decision, stating that they cannot invest in companies that do not respect workers' rights. The Danish pension fund's decision was just the latest in a series of setbacks for Tesla in Europe. The company's sales have plummeted in recent months, with a 45% drop in January 2025 alone. This stands in stark contrast to the overall European car market, which saw a 37% surge in sales during the same period. It seems that while Europeans are embracing electric vehicles, they are not so keen on Tesla's brand of electric vehicles. The reasons for Tesla's European decline are multifaceted. The company has faced increasing competition from established car manufacturers, many of whom are now producing their own electric and hybrid models. But Tesla's woes go beyond mere market forces. The company's reputation has taken a severe hit, thanks in no small part to the behavior of its CEO. Musk's increasingly erratic and often offensive behavior on social media has alienated many potential customers. His pronouncements on everything from COVID-19 to cryptocurrency have been met with derision and disbelief. And his decision to use his platform to amplify conspiracy theories and far-right talking points has led to accusations that he's using his wealth and influence to promote dangerous ideologies. Adding fuel to the fire, Musk has increasingly inserted himself into the European political landscape, often with disastrous results. He has publicly endorsed far-right political parties in Germany and the United Kingdom, drawing condemnation from across the political spectrum. His attempts to curry favour with nationalist leaders in Italy and Romania have backfired spectacularly, further damaging Tesla's brand image in these countries. It seems that Musk, blinded by his own libertarian ideology, failed to grasp the nuances of European politics. His ham-fisted attempts to influence elections and court controversy have only served to alienate potential customers and damage Tesla's reputation. The result of Musk's political meddling has been a growing backlash against Tesla in Europe. Social media campaigns urging customers to boycott the company have gained traction, with hashtags like #TeslaTakedown and #swastikacars trending on Twitter. Influential consumer groups have issued warnings about Tesla's ethical practices, further eroding public trust in the brand. Perhaps the most damaging aspect of Musk's recent behavior has been his apparent about-face on climate change. Once hailed as a visionary leader in the fight against global warming, Musk has recently sown doubt about the urgency of the climate crisis. He has publicly questioned the effectiveness of renewable energy sources and criticized European environmental regulations as being too stringent. This shift in rhetoric has baffled and angered many who once admired Musk's commitment to sustainability. It has also raised questions about his true motivations. Some speculate that Musk's newfound skepticism about climate change is a cynical ploy to curry favor with right-wing politicians and undermine support for environmental regulations that threaten his business interests. Whatever his reasons, Musk's change of heart on climate change has further alienated him from the European public. Europeans, by and large, take climate change very seriously. They see it as an existential threat that requires urgent action. To see someone who was once a champion of the environmental movement now casting doubt on the science and downplaying the urgency of the crisis has been deeply disillusioning. The combined weight of Trump's diplomatic blunders and Musk's corporate misadventures has left the transatlantic relationship reeling. European leaders, already wary of American influence after the tumultuous Trump years, are now faced with the prospect of a resurgent and unpredictable America under his leadership once more. The situation is further complicated by the fact that Europe itself is not a monolithic entity. While there is widespread agreement that Trump and Musk's actions have been unhelpful, to say the least, there is no clear consensus on how to respond. Some European leaders, particularly in Eastern Europe, are wary of antagonizing the United States. They see America as a vital ally against an increasingly assertive Russia, and are reluctant to jeopardize that relationship. Others, particularly in Western Europe, are taking a more confrontational approach. They argue that Europe cannot afford to be beholden to the whims of an unpredictable American president. They are calling for a more assertive European foreign policy, one that is not afraid to stand up to the United States when necessary. The current tensions between the United States and Europe are a far cry from the Cold War rivalry of the 20th century. But there are echoes of that era in the current climate of mistrust and suspicion. The ideological divide between the United States and Europe appears to be widening, with issues like climate change, trade, and social justice becoming increasingly polarized. The rise of populism and nationalism on both sides of the Atlantic has further exacerbated these divisions. Populist leaders like Trump have exploited anxieties about globalization and immigration to fuel their rise to power. They have also sought to undermine multilateral institutions like the European Union and NATO, seeing them as obstacles to their nationalist agendas. The danger is that these trends could lead to a further unraveling of the transatlantic alliance, leaving Europe vulnerable to external threats from Russia and China. Both countries are eager to exploit divisions within the West and are actively working to undermine Western unity. The future of the transatlantic relationship remains uncertain. Much will depend on the outcome of the next US presidential election. If Trump is defeated, there is a chance that relations between the United States and Europe can be repaired. However, the damage that has been done over the past few years will not be easily undone. Even if a more moderate president takes office in Washington, there are still deep-seated differences between the United States and Europe on a range of issues. These differences will not disappear overnight, and they will continue to test the strength of the transatlantic alliance. The challenge for both sides will be to find a way to manage these differences and rebuild trust. This will require a commitment to dialogue, compromise, and a recognition that the transatlantic relationship, while strained, remains vital to the security and prosperity of both the United States and Europe. The alternative, a world in which the West is divided and weakened, is too dangerous to contemplate.